Alright, y'all. So today we've got a banger. This is going to be a good one. If you like TFT content, be sure to like and subscribe. I normally say that a little later, but this is a voiceover game. I've been playing more so when I'm like talking to my girlfriend, so I'm not necessarily recording my live commentary. But yeah, we got a good game today. It's going to be very, very entertaining. We got Jhin 3, because, I mean, there's no point in even trying to be suspenseful about it. It's going to be literally in the thumbnail, so. But yeah, it's a spatula game, which I don't normally like spatula games because it means like 2 to 3 people are pretty much guaranteed force of nature. And it's just like, it's really weird. I just don't really like spatula games very much. So here I'm looking and I'm like, well, Yordle starts good. Yordle, I like this patch a lot more because I feel like you're not necessarily shoehorned into doing a specific thing. Like last patch, I felt like if I didn't get Yordles or Mercenary at stage 2, like before stage 2 started, I was kind of relegated to not being able to place first place. But this patch, because I mean it was just Kai'sa Roulette last patch, but this is what I'm looking at here, and I was thinking, ooh, what am I going to go for here? All 3 of these are amazing. I like Twin Shot Soul a lot because I think 4 Twin Shot Jinx is really underrated, even though they nerfed or got pretty hard this patch. But I'm looking and I'm like, I'm evaluating the Clockwork thing. I'm like, okay, 4 Clockwork is really good if I plan to go Jhin or Challengers. Both of them give me 8 gold, and 8 gold early is amazing because now I get to econ so much earlier. But I chose the Clockwork Augment just because I was like, with this one, I had the option to go either Challengers or Jhin. And really, I like flexibility more than anything. Really, with 2 Clockwork, you can go any build, because 2 Clockwork works for every build in the game. I guess it's not great for Arcanist, but it's really good for pretty much any build you want to run. Here, I get a random Darius too. I'm like, okay, I guess that works. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, I have 14 gold at 2-1 with 2 Prismatic Clockwork. I'm like, alright, I guess I just level, play Darius, and then wait to see what happens. And I see this other Camille, and I'm thinking, maybe it's a Camille 3 game, but at the same time, if you want to go for 3-star 1 cost, you can't really level early like this, because you want to stay level 4 as much as possible. Like, if you're going for a 3-star 1 cost build, like Ligma or anything like that, I've seen some reroll innovator builds too, but if you're going for 3-star 1 costs, you want to pretty much not level at all for the entirety of stage 2, and then you want to roll, I think it's at Krugs, or maybe it's the round right after Krugs. No, the round right after Krugs is the latest you can still be level 4. So the round right after Krugs, you want to roll then and try to get as many units as possible. Here I'm looking, I'm like, maybe I'll get Camille 3. But I've already leveled, so I know in my head I'm not getting Camille 3. And yeah, but that's why, so Ziggs 2, and then I get a Blitzcrank. I'm like, okay, Blitzcrank gives me scrap, but it's Darius 2 or Blitzcrank 1. And I don't think Blitzcrank 1 is better than Darius 2, even if it's giving me scrap. So here I'm like, I sell the Camille because I'm like, I'm not getting Camille 3, I already leveled. Heimerdinger is good. I could play him with the Zyra, but at the same time, I kind of don't want to because, like, Vex Ziggs offers, 2 synergy, like 2 unit. They both have 2 common synergies, and that's kind of really hard to give up. I'm looking, this guy has, I saw he had Arcanist spat on his Ezreal, but I realized he just put the spat on his Ezreal. Does Ezreal cast go through my Poppy there? That was weird. He just scrap rolled an Arcanist spat, which is like not that good for Ezreal, but he has prismatic, what is that? Makeshift armor, so I wasn't beating him. Here I get Poppy 2. I'm like, okay, I have Tristana, there's Zillion. So now I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, I'm going to put the spat on Ziggs just because why not? Like, what else am I going to use the spatula for right now? Then I put in Blitz because I want the scrap buff, and I lost a round, so I'm like, I can sell this Darius and make econ, and I kind of want to find a way to play Zillion and Camille here because I want 4 Clockwork. 4 Clockwork is really good. 2 Clockwork, like, the way Clockwork works is it's not that good early game because it scales off of how many augments you have. So, like, early game, if I have 2 Clockwork, I'm missing 10% attack speed that I would have at stage 4. Like, after you get your 3rd augment, you get the full value of Clockwork. So, having 3 Clockwork now isn't that big of a deal, but the base value of 3 Clockwork is still really high. It's like 35%, and then it's like 10%, so it's like 45%. Or it's, I don't know, I just looked at it, but I'll have to look at it again. Ziggs rolled, what's it called? Challenger Snap there. And I sold the Darius to make 20 gold. So here I'm looking, I'm like, okay, I don't really know what spatula I'd take here. I'm thinking, like, maybe I'd take a rod. But really what I'm looking for is probably just either a glove or a bow. And I don't get the bow, so I take the glove. My favorite item to start with this patch so far is glove for sure, because I feel like every build pretty much uses glove right now. Like, you either want Last Whisper, Infinity Edge, or Jeweled Gauntlet, or Quicksilver Sash on every single build you run right now. Like, Quicksilver Sash is a very underrated item, and I think glove is just too good not to value as the #1 item right now. So here I'm thinking, like, how do I switch my positioning? Because you want the tankiest unit up front, but you don't really want Vex to backline. Realistically, I should swap the Poppy and Vex's positioning, but I always like to keep Vex up front. This guy is strong. I'm like, okay, there's no way I beat this guy. He also got double item grab bag prismatic, so he has essentially 4 items on me, and I don't even have an item made, so there's like no way I beat this guy in any sense of the word. He's also a higher level than me. Like, he's just going full win streak. Where is his little legend? Like, sometimes the little legends... Oh, he's up there. You can't see him under the little thing, so I don't know how much health this guy has. He has... I think he's the 86 HP guy. Oh, no, he's the first place guy, Invis. So, yeah, he's 100%, which makes sense. Like, given the items that he got with grab bag and his board, like, yeah, he should be 100%. But right now, I'm sitting here, I'm at 40 gold, 84 HP, about to go into creeps, or Krugs. We call them creeps in League of Legends, so I kind of carry that over sometimes. But I'm about to go into Krugs with 50 HP and be level 5. So, like, I am not worried at all, especially with 84 health. Like, I'm in a really, really good spot right now. So this guy rolled a Prismatic Assassin, which means I'm going to get shafted by him, probably. I got 1, which is good, and I think that's all I'm going to get. So this guy, you can already kind of tell he wants to go for a Kali because he slammed a Gunblade and he has double Assassin, which is good. Like, a Kali is good, but I don't personally like going for a Kali. I like playing Shaco more because it's just, when you're playing a build that requires a 5 cost, like a specific 5 cost, it's hard to be consistent with that build. So here I'm looking, I'm like, okay, what am I looking for here? And I'm thinking, like, there's a Scrap Trundle, I have Camille in the game, but how do I fit in Zillion? Like, at this point I'm kind of looking, I'm like, what do I do here? I need the Ziggs for Scrap. If you have a Vex, there's almost no reason to not play Vex with Ziggs. And then there's no reason to not play Poppy with Blitzcrank. Like, Blitzcrank Janna are the perfect units to sort of tie Yordles together. Like, Janna is the perfect unit because she synergizes with Lulu, Ziggs, and Heimerdinger. But, oh, I get double mercenaries there, which I'm looking at like, what the... And there I have 3 mercenaries, but I didn't want mercenaries. I just want the challenger. Because I'm still thinking, like, This is a challenger game. I just got challenger items. I got a bow and a cloak, which is either QSS or Last Whisper or Runons. So I have like a lot of options for challengers. The rod is kind of whatever. I haven't really thought about what to do with that yet. What I decide is I decide to go for QSS, and because I think that QSS is kind of, I really like QSS right now is really the best way to say it. But here you can really see the 6 Clockwork value. Like even though I don't have an auto attacking based board, I'm doing a lot more damage with 6 Clockwork, 4 Clockwork. Like 4 Clockwork is very, very strong. It's just the units are really awkward to fit together. Sell the Heimerdinger to make 50 gold here. And I'm like, okay, I don't have any need for Poppy, but I also, do I have Poppy? I think that's Poppy 2, right? I'm pretty sure I have Poppy 2. I actually can't tell. Yes, it is Poppy 2 because of the health bar, but, and then I look at this guy, he has Anima Visage, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's going Cho'Gath. He has Anima Visage and a Mutant Spat, so he's almost surely trying to force Cho'Gath. I didn't check what mutant was. I don't remember what mutant was either. This guy's makeshift armor, and only one of his units has, what's it called? So, Ziggs keeps rolling Syndicate Spat for some reason. Like, I want him to roll Arcanist Spat here, but I don't want to slam an Arcanist Spat, so I'm just kind of chilling. But yeah, you're still seeing the Clockwork value here. Like, even through Prismatic Makeshift Armor, I am, like, still doing a lot of damage with 4 Clockwork. And I don't have auto attackers. Like, my board is not really built around Clockwork yet. So the fact that it does this much with this weak of an AD board is really, it really shows how powerful Clockwork is. So here I'm looking, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with these? I'm looking around the board, I'm like, what is everyone else going? And I looked for the Socialite Hex because I was like, do I want Socialite? Do I want Underdogs? Do I want Makeshift? I pretty much decided I don't want Makeshift here. I was like, okay, let me see. Who could I play on that Socialite Hex is what I'm thinking. I'm like, I can't play Jhin on that Socialite Hex, but I roll a Jhin here. I'm like, oh. I was planning on going Challengers, but now I hit a Jhin, and I'm thinking, natural Jhin on 6. Pretty much guaranteed I'm not going Challengers with this, right? Like, I just have to go Jhin, because I already have the Clockwork. I could potentially go 6 Clockwork now. And I have the Misfortune just sitting on my bench, too. And I have the QSS for Jhin. QSS is probably the best item you can put on Jhin, because it allows him to just, you can corner Jhin without worrying about Blitzcrank, which is like, Blitzcrank and Zyra are, I think, Jin's biggest counters. Assassins are tough too, but like Blitzcrank and Zyra are probably bigger counters than Assassins. And here I just kind of like, Jhin this early with 4 Clockwork is really strong. Like, you can, even though it doesn't affect Jin's actual attack speed, you can see how much more damage a Jhin 1 is doing than Jhin 1 would normally do with 4 Clockwork. Like, the way Jhin works is his attack speed is essentially converted to AD, and he has a capped amount of actual attack speed. So he just gets stronger when you put attack speed on him, but he doesn't actually attack faster. I definitely want the glove there. That's what I want more than really anything, but it's on a 4-cost unit. It's on Mundo, so there's no way I get it. So I'm looking here, I'm like, the glove is taken. What am I looking for secondary? And I want the sword, is what I realized. I'm like, okay, sword. Definitely sword. And I'm like, okay, do I slam Giant Slayer here? Because Giant Slayer in this lobby is actually really valuable, but at the same time, I'm thinking, do I want a Giant Slayer, or am I looking for a Last Whisper? Or, not a Last Whisper, an Infinity Edge. And I'm just chilling here. I'm like, I'm not really in a hurry. Like, I don't need to put anything in. And here I level so I can play Misfortune to get Jhin sniper buff. I put her in the other corner just to try to attract, like, Lux or Blitzcrank or whatever. Like, even though Blitzcrank can't pull Jhin, it's it still does damage through QSS, so It's nice to avoid the Blitzcrank altogether. And spreading out your units always helps, unless you're against, like, assassins or, like, Galio. No, it helps against Galio. I mean, spreading out your units always helps. Positioning in this game is one of the more difficult things to learn. Like, the hard thing about TFT is not, like, in-game builds. In-game builds are the easy part about TFT, unless you're, like, figuring out how to fit in certain augments and stuff like that. I roll a second natural Jhin here, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm getting Jhin easy. And I'm thinking, okay, no one in this lobby is playing Jhin. Or maybe I'm just getting lucky and high-rolling all these Jhins. But looking at my board right now, I have 72 HP. I have 4 Clockwork and 2 Jhins at level 7. I'm level 7, and I only need about 3 more rounds to hit level 8 if I get no money off my creep round. And I'm like, okay, I am in an amazing spot this game. This guy has 3 assassin spats. And 3 of them are on bruisers. And I was like, what is this guy's board, is what I'm thinking here. But Vi is just so strong. And Assassin Vi is going to just body my entire team, I can tell. Yeah. Vi is really strong. I like playing Vi, but I never can get enough Vi's to, like, do a reroll Vi build. And the problem with Vi is you kind of need Jinx. So if you spend all that time rerolling for Vi, you're not really guaranteed to ever hit a Jinx. Unless you hit Vi really early. Like, if I hit Vi 3 at 3-5 or so, then yeah. I mean, obviously I can play it, but if you don't hit Vi around that time... I'm looking at what I can build with the spatula, because I'm like, well, this spatula might just be a dead item for me, because what am I going to do with it, you know? At this point, I'm hoping that I can just get a spatula off a carousel, but I don't think there's any way I can get one of those, because I hit a Kai'sa here, and I'm like, ooh, should I play Kai'sa? First of all, I built that, and then I put the sword on him, and I'm thinking, okay, so I'm waiting till I get my next item to figure out what to actually put on him, but I'm thinking here it's probably going to be BT. I'm holding the Sion because I know that Sion is a great frontliner for Jhin builds. Right now I have 3 items unmade, so I'm kind of like not really that that strong. But even without making, well, okay, so this guy also has 4 items unmade, so it doesn't really matter that I have 4 items unmade. But yeah, I'm beating this guy. And here I'm still like, okay, I'm about to hit... This guy's level 6 with 40 gold. And I'm level 7 with 50 gold, about to be level 8. Like, I am in such a comfortable spot right now that I'm just kind of, like, not worried at all about what's happening. I don't pick up the Kai'sa because, like, I don't have Kai'sa items in this portion. I have natural roll a Jhin 2 on 7 with 50 gold, and I'm like... Okay, guaranteed top 4 from here. Like, no question in my mind, I'm hitting top 4. I don't think I've rolled once this game, and I have Jhin 2. He has 240 AD, thanks to the Clockwork, and I have Last Whisper. So I'm like, okay, so now what I want here, I hold on to the Sion, and I'm just waiting for... I'm just waiting for Oriana to show up, so I can play 6 Clockwork. This is, like, Zyra is a huge counter to Jhin, but, like, when you have QSS, it's not that bad because she doesn't stun you. Well, that time she did. But, like, usually it's the damage that's the biggest counter to Jhin. Like, Zyra does a lot of damage. If she's 3-starred and she has items. But if she's... I think that was a 1-star Zyra. Might have been 2-star, but she's just not that strong. Unless she's 3-star with items. This guy's going just pure Yordles, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I haven't seen anyone, like, really do well with Yordles since, like, 2 patches ago. But they buffed the Yordle thing, and they buffed Heimerdinger, so it's like... I remembered where the Socialite Hex was, that's why I almost immediately threw away that, what's it called? got Braum, and I'm like, okay, I gotta play Braum here. Here I'm thinking of selling Ziggs, but I still want the scrap buff. I hit a Vex. I'm thinking, what do I want here? And I'm like, oh, Galio. So I put in Sion for Poppy, which is probably not what I wanted to do, but it's what I ended up doing. But, you see, I have underdogs here, so I'm like, I need to play Colossus with this. Underdogs is like perfect for a Colossus build. It's such a good Colossus synergistic augment. So I really want to play underdogs. I hit Misfortune too, which is nice, but Jhin honestly doesn't really need sniper buff, which is something that a lot of people don't realize. It helps him, obviously, like, it's good, but sniper buff isn't that important on Jhin. So here I'm looking, I'm like, okay, what do I want here? I'm like, I probably just want a glove if I can get one. Looking around, I'm like, thinking maybe I just want the Jhin. And then I decide glove. I'm like, okay, let's just get the glove. Let's just go Last Whisper Jhin. I kind of was thinking maybe I actually wanted Giant Slayer, but I'm thinking, Last Whisper is probably my best option here. So this is best in slot Jhin pretty much in most situations. I sell the Ziggs and the, what's it called there? So I can get the Colossus. I get 2 Colossus, and now I have pretty much permanent underdogs. I still have the Camille in there, and I'm thinking maybe I put in Zilean for Camille, but I kind of don't want that at the same time because, like, I don't think Zilean's very good, and Camille's actually a pretty good frontliner. Like, Camille's one of the best one costs in the game right now. This guy's Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger is very strong right now, especially with blue buff. He doesn't have 6 Yordle though, so like maybe I can beat him is what I'm thinking. My Galio's tanking pretty hard. And I have underdog, so Galio's really doing a lot of work for me right now. And then, boom, Jhin takes him out. Without underdog, I lose that 100%. But with underdog, Galio tanked like 2 more Heimerdinger ults than he should have. I'm looking here, I'm like, what do I go here? Makeshift doesn't do anything for me because I have too few units. Sunfire, I don't really need anti-healing, I don't think, even though I saw that Anima Visage earlier. So here, I got the Sniper Crest and I hit the Ori in the same round, so I'm like, yeah, 100% I'm playing Ori. And then I play this instead of Camille. I sell the Misfortune, and I'm like, okay. So at this point, I guess I'm just going to level 9. Like, what I want to do is I want to have, I want to put in 6 Clockwork. And I'm like, I can't really do that before I'm level 9 because I'm not giving up Blitzcrank. Like, Blitzcrank works with Galio and Sion too well to give him up. And just putting in Zilean or Camille doesn't help me. Like, 5 Clockwork doesn't do anything, and those units aren't stronger than Blitzcrank or Braum on their own. So I'm just kind of chilling here. I'm like, I'm going to wait to equip any more items. I really want to find a way to use the spatula too. That's one of the things I'm thinking about. So here's the Anima Visage. This guy hit Cho'Gath too. And I'm like, okay. I don't think I can beat this guy. Like, I can kill pretty much everything except for his Cho'Gath. Like, just looking at how much he heals like how much Jhin hits him for. He heals, yeah, he literally heals 386 per shot, and Jin's hitting him for like 370. So like Jhin doesn't do enough damage to kill Cho'Gath at this point. I'm like, uh-oh. And he has a Seraphs on Cho'Gath, so Cho'Gath is going to one-shot anyone at the point where, like, after a certain amount of time. And I'm like, I didn't prioritize anti-healing, and I don't have enough damage to kill that thing. So I'm thinking, like, okay, I'm playing for second place. And I'm like, what do I do here? I'm thinking I have to go 9. That's the only way I can really get stronger from here. And I'm looking at how much attack speed the Clockwork buff gives me. I'm like, okay. So I got 2 bows here. I'm like, what do I do with this? Another Yuumi. And I'm trying to think, how would I play Yuumi here? There's no reason to not hold Yuumi because Yumi's just like... Yumi's a great unit. Like, Yumi's really good. I'm looking at that guy. I'm like, how do I beat the Anima Massage Cho'Gath? I just can't right now. And I'm thinking, like, I don't see any Jhins. I have 4 Jhins. I can't level here. I need to make items, though, is what I'm really thinking. I'm like, okay, so I have 2 bows. Maybe it's Galio. Or maybe it's Challenger. I'm trying to figure out how to use my spatula so it's not just a completely dead item. And I get absolutely smacked by the 6 assassin guy. Because, I mean, he has 6 assassins. And I'm playing Jhin. Like, Assassin Vi might be one of the best assassin spat holders in the game, now that I think about it. So here, I'm down to 38 HP. I'm like, uh-oh. I'm getting a little worried about what's going on. I'm like, maybe 4 Bodyguard is the answer. I sell Yuumi because I realize there's no way I can play it. I don't even have a Scholar to synergize with it, really, so I'm like, I just can't play Yuumi. And I'm like, I am not making any items right now, and I need to be. So here I'm like, okay, what am I building? So I decided to itemize Galio probably because I have 2 bows here. And Galio actually does pretty good physical damage. And I was thinking, like, the best way to use all of my items. And this, I think, is the best combination of items that I could come up with. Because here I have Shiv. I have Shiv Ginsu's on Galio. And Galio does good physical damage, and then with the Clockwork, Ginsu's and Shiv get a lot more value than they normally would. So I'm like, this is probably the best in slot right now that I can build with my current items. And it gives me the win barely there. I definitely wouldn't have won if I didn't equip my items. So I'm like, okay, I'm still comfortable enough to probably make it to 9, but who knows? See another Kai'Sa, and I'm like, I don't think I can play Kai'Sa from this angle. I'm just thinking, like, what do I even do here? So here, I'm like, okay, I need 6 Clockwork. 6 Clockwork gives me a huge spike, especially on Galio from this angle, because Galio is going to get a ton of attack speed, and Galio's an auto attacker. Oh, that felt good. Okay. Whew. But the main problem that I have right now is Sion's level 1, Galio's level 1, Ori's level 1, Blitz is level 1, and only my Jhin, Camille, and Zilean are leveled up right now. And I'm like, I mean, Camille and Zilean level 2 kind of don't even matter. But if you look at this Galio, he's doing so much damage, and then Jhin's shots are doing crazy damage now, like he's doing 500 damage almost per auto, depending on how much armor the thing he hits has. I'm like, okay, I'm strong enough to beat everyone except the Anima Cho'Gath guy, maybe? I'm looking around, I'm like, what should I build? I don't know if you guys can hear that. My niece is playing around upstairs. She's 2. She's cute. But she's like rolling some ball, or maybe they're rolling the chair around. I don't know what's going on, but she's upstairs and she's making noise, so you guys might be able to hear that. So I'm thinking, like, what do I go here? And I decided to go Deathblade, actually, because first of all, I didn't see any other item that really worked with my build. Like, none of the spat items worked. And I'm just like, okay, Ori is nice, but I think I want to put this Deathblade on Galio just because, like, oh my god, I forgot about this. I saw a triple Tom Kench. I'm like, can I play this? And I'm thinking, like, do I sell Galio here and play Tom Kench with something else? I'm thinking, and I'm like, okay, the Cho'Gath is the only thing that really matters in this lobby, and I can't... Tom Kench doesn't help me beat that, so no, I don't play Tom Kench here. Even though it's triple Tom Kench and it's extremely tempting, I'm like, I can't do that. It just doesn't help me. And Mutant, this game is Cybernetic Mutant, by the way, so Cho'Gath has a bonus, like, 500 HP, which is absolutely gross. Or, no, 900 HP on top of just being Cho'Gath 3 with Anima Massage. So as you can see, like, I can kill everything except for Cho'Gath. Like, right now, I just can't kill Cho'Gath because I don't have anti-healing, I don't have percent HP damage, and I don't have Giant Slayer. But I don't think Giant Slayer would even necessarily do enough damage to kill this guy at this point. Like, It only gives Jhin 60% bonus damage, which is, I don't think is much more than Last Whisper would give him. Like, I think Infinity Edge Last Whisper might be equivalent in damage. It really hurt me to not take that triple Tahm Kench option. So here I'm like, okay, I need at least Sion 2 or something, right? I'm like, what am I looking for here? Okay, we hit Sion, and I'm like, okay, Ori 2. I'm like, oh, Jhin. And I'm thinking, like, the only way I can realistically beat that other guy, okay, here is a good one. I'm like, how do I play Janna here? I don't think I can't play Janna and keep 6 Clockwork, so I don't upgrade the Janna from this angle. And I'm like, I have 6 Jhins. I don't know if that's enough. Here, I'm not too worried about the Assassins anymore because I have Galio too, so I think I can just beat them. But do I win this round, actually? Yes, I do. Because this Galio, like, with Galio 6 Clockwork is so strong. Like, look at that. Almost 7,000 damage from Deathblade Clockwork Galio. And I have 2 Colossus underdogs with Stoneplate Sion. Like, my Galio Sion are really strong. So this Anima Visage Cho'Gath, though, I'm just looking, I'm like, how do I beat this guy? I decide not to upgrade Janna, which is a good choice, and I decide not to upgrade her again, which is a good choice again, because I'm like, what does it even do for me to upgrade Janna? How do I play this? I would have to get rid of 6 Clockwork, which is kind of the only reason that I can even come close to challenging this Cho'Gath, and maybe Galio 2 can beat it. I'm just looking, I'm like, okay, the only way I win this lobby is Jhin 3. That's the only way. And if I make Janna 2, I have less money to get Jhin 3. By the way, no one's playing Tahm Kench in this lobby, because I've seen so many Tahm Kenches. And I decide to sell the Janna so I can have more money to try to hit Jhin 3. I just throw this on Ori because I don't know who else to throw it on, honestly. Like, Sion, Jinx, Ori. Ori's good. I see another Jinx, and I'm like, Ori 3 maybe? Maybe Ori 3 can do it. Seeing a lot of 5 costs, but not anything I need. Sell those, buy the Sion. I'm like, okay, we hit Jhin. That's our 6th Jhin. And I'm like, okay, people have definitely seen me hit this, so I'm not going to buy anything else. I'm just going to chill. God, no one's playing 5 costs this game. I've seen so many, like, I've seen just so many 5 costs. Like, no one's playing 5 costs. Or no one's hitting 5 costs, one of the two. I get Zephyr'd here, and I'm like, oops, I didn't scout at all. But I don't think it matters, because Jhin is only one of 2 carries in this board right now. Like, my Galio is doing... Look at this Galio. He's just bodying everyone. Look at... He's doing, like, 600 damage per auto. No. He's not. He's doing, like, 300 damage per auto. Like, he did more damage than Jhin there, because Jhin got Zephyr'd. But, like, yeah. So I see the Anima Visage Cho'Gath, and I'm like, ugh. What do I do against that? I'm like, Galio 3? No, I can't hit Galio 3. So at this point, I'm like, I have to hit Jhin 3. That's the only way I even have a chance to do anything. And now I am 1 Jhin off. And I'm thinking, okay, someone's going to see that I'm going for Jhin 3. I need to try to hide these Jhins on my board as much as I can. But at the same time, I'm just like, I just got to roll. Like, I have to roll to 0 every turn. Try to hit this Jhin 3. Because I have 8. 8 out of 9 Jhins. And I'm like, if I hit Jhin 3, I can probably kill this Cho'Gath. But that's not even guaranteed. So here I'm looking, this is sort of a strength check for me, because I'm like, how much damage does Galio do to this? Like, is there a chance that maybe I can kill this Cho'Gath with my current board? So Galio kills everything else. Like, my board beats everything on his board except for the Cho'Gath. Even the Jace 2 isn't really an obstacle. Like, he's strong, but it's like, whatever, you know? You can't really kill anything on my board. I'm looking, I'm like, wow, I actually am not even close. Like, not close at all to beating this Cho'Gath. I'm like, okay. What do I do? And I just keep looking for Jhin. I don't think anyone in this lobby has noticed I'm going for Jhin 3 yet. Because that Cho'Gath guy was holding a lot of units on his board. This guy is just trying to do what he can. He hit Heimer 3, so he's like, yes, I'm good. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, that doesn't matter. I have Sion and Galio, and you don't have Morellonomicon, so you're not beating me. Like, there's no way. I saw he had Zephyr, so I moved my Jhin to the other side. I didn't want to get Zephyr'd again. Because I beat him last time, but who knows? Maybe he beats me this time with Heimer 3. My Sion is just so strong. Like, he can't... 900... 1,000... 1,400 damage Jhin crit ults. Like, that... I don't think... what's it called? Giant Slayer would have come close to that damage. So I'm looking, I'm like, what do I get here? I see the Jhin. I'm like, oh god, it's on the other side. Is this guy going to try to block me from getting it? And he goes the other way. I'm like, thank god. Jhin 3. Now, will I beat this Cho'Gath? Because now I'm still not even sure. I'm like, this guy's healing for like 400 health per second. Can I even beat him with Jhin 3? But we hit Jhin 3. We have 6 Clockwork Jhin 3. I'm like, okay. If I can't beat him with this, then there's like no hope. Like, I can't do anything to beat this guy. I just throw this on Oriana because we do have Camille as a challenger. I'm like, okay, I guess that's fine. Like, Oriana has Last Whisper. I have 6 Clockwork, challenger. Like, she has a ton of attack speed now, at least. And I'm looking, I'm like, what do I do here? I move Blitzcrank to the other side for the Seraphine because for some reason he's just cornering his Seraphine. Like, I don't know why he did that. I guess he just thought I wouldn't move my Blitzcrank. But yeah, I mean, he's not going to beat me anyway. Like, look at that. Jhin did 2,700 damage. It was almost 3,000 damage with 1 crit there. It was his last crit, but still, almost 3,000 damage with 1 crit from Jhin. I'm like, okay, my board's capped. Like, if I can't beat this guy with this board, this guy's actually unbeatable. There's nothing I can do. I just needed a Morellonomicon if I can't beat him now. And I'm like, what do I do here? I'm thinking, like, Jhin is in a good spot, but maybe he needs to be on the Socialite Hex. He doesn't have Blitzcrank. I'm just looking at his board trying to figure out, like, what exactly is his optimal... So I move everything, pretty much. I'm like, I don't want Tahm Kench to insta-kill anything. And Jhin should be on the Socialite Hex, because that's the only way I have a chance to kill this Cho'Gath, right? And boom, boom. And look at that, 3,800 damage from Jhin. So I'm like, okay, yes, I can beat this guy now. At this point, I'm like, okay, if I beat him that badly, I don't think there's any way he beats me unless he gets, like, a perfect item here. He got Zeke's, which is actually pretty good for his board. Like, you should put Zeke's next to something for Cho'Gath. And I don't know why he's putting Cho'Gath, like, so low in the front like that, because Cho'Gath is his highest damage, too. He should honestly probably frontline, like, his Mundo or something. But I'm looking at this, like, I don't think he can beat me anymore. And the, what is this item? The Spark goes on Sion. Spark's one of Sion's best items, actually. I think best in slot Sion is probably, like, here I'm rolling for no reason. I'm like, what am I even rolling for? I don't know. But, best in slot, well, really what I'm rolling for is kind of units to keep him from getting stronger. Like, I want to hold Kai'Sa's. But yeah, best in slot Sion is probably, like, Warmogs, Spark, like Bramble. I don't know. Best in slot Sion is kind of whatever. You just want really tanky stuff. And really, I want the Galio and Sion here so Tahm Kench doesn't eat anything. That's one of the big things that I want. I want just Tahm Kench not to be able to devour something. Because even though I won that last fight pretty hard, like, this is still a Cho'Gath 3 with Anima Visage. I need to make sure that I'm, like, playing smart. Because if Jhin happens to die, like, I just lose. When here I'm like, okay, I just need to win one more round. I'm looking, I'm like, what would make me stronger here? I'm like, I don't know. So I'm looking, he has 418 AD. And I'm like, is 3 Socialite better than 6 Clockwork? And I do this because those 2 units are bad anyway, and this gives me Enchanter too, so I'm like, oh, I just lost like 50 AD. Maybe that was a bad choice. And yes, in hindsight, yes, that was definitely a bad choice to make that move. Like, I don't know why I did that. There's no reason to get healing on Jhin here. Like, I'm not losing any health anyway. Like, if you look at this, I lost this. I won this a lot less than I did the last time. But I did win in the end. I shouldn't have made that switch at the end, but I just wanted to see if it was a little bit better, and it wasn't. But that's the game. 6 Clockwork, Jhin 3, 4 Clockwork on the last round because I'm stupid. But Jhin 3, one of the, like, second or third times I've even hit a 3-star 4 cost this patch, or this set, excuse me. But I'm really liking this patch so far. It's pretty flexible until people find out whatever the OP thing is, and this account still hasn't hit Diamond. I haven't really been playing that much on it. But we're going to start grinding. I'm going to try to get this account to Master 2. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.